And so the M43 and the M35 bridges, the 20% for those two projects was put out on the market fund. And so in April of 13, I'm estimating we got a positive balance of $2 million.
So, with that considered, why you're looking at a 2-for-1? Is the million the maximum you think you can apply for, or what's?
The unwritten rule of the region sort of is that you don't borrow more than 3 years ahead in SDP funds. And so there's some changes. They thought with the stimulus funds that any project that was over allocated, and we had a project, I think it was a Denison City project, that what we allocated for that project from the stimulus funds, the bids came in under that, so there was money. It was like almost 200,000 there that we were going to reallocate to another project. Well, we got a memo just yesterday that said that they aren't going to allow us to do that, according to the FHWA and their interpretation. They're not going to allow that to happen, so the state's going to let a project to spend everybody's money, but then they're going to credit us back with SDP funds to fill the gap. I mean, even they're going to use 191 of what was allocated to us, they're going to turn around and give us 191,000 in
Future dollars.
Future SDP funds. So it's supposed to not, it's supposed to be a wash. But I think in 2013, I understand from talking to Chris down at Region 12 that there were some errors or some things that needed to be adjusted in the allocation spreadsheet we worked with. But I didn't bring that with me. But I think in 2013 we were going to have a positive balance of about 750,000, and we get about 100. Well, in past program years, we've got about 120,000 a year allocated to Sac County. So $1 million or $1.2 million, somewhere in there is what I'm going to apply for. I'm going to look, get the numbers after we get it adjusted and see what we got there. But,
well, that's, I mean, I wanted to ask a question. If you're estimating 3 and you're asking for 1, I wanted to know why you're choosing $1 million.
Yeah. Well, and of course, until they pass the federal highway transportation bill, I mean, we're all just guessing what we're going to end up with. So, and then we've had, well, this project we just finished, D59 east of Wall Lake. We originally had that programmed earlier, and then the federal government came out and cut the funding back from what we had programmed, and so that project actually had been programmed earlier, but at a lesser dollar. So then when we agreed to back it up in the region, we also asked for more money there too.
So M50
is not eligible for estimate.
No, but M50 could be overlaid next 2010.
If my projections on our funding come out, and they might make us push back as far as how soon we can let it in the year. I'm not sure how close we are to a positive balance after the letting. We haven't even done an estimate on the project yet. So
what do you mentioned 59 is going to be a PC overlay. What's your plan? What are your tentative plans?
On M50, probably AC overlay.
Why is that?
It's not got a whole lot of structure there, and if it went PC, it'd be a lot thicker. We'd probably have to go 6 inches of PC, which would drive the cost up quite a
so
bit.
you're thinking a 3-inch overlay then?
Yeah. That's why it'd be, lower cost.
Right.
How many miles is it?
8. 7.5 maybe. Is that right?
Would you go all the way down, would you cross 175 and go down to 59? When you
No,
talk about
that's PC in there, and that's fairly well patched, so,
That's right. So you'd be going from 71 up to 20
yeah, yeah,
with asphalt.
yeah. I think we'll probably look at, well, we'll see what the spring brings, but we'll probably look at putting an embargo on that road in the spring and try to keep the traffic off of it that we had last spring. I mean, you aren't going to stop the feed deliveries, and you aren't going to stop livestock being hauled out, but of course, last spring we felt the major cause of our problems there was all the grain trucks that were hauling grain from one co-op to another, and because they're running 71 as well as M50, so I think we'll probably monitor that a little closer next spring. And
So, after 7 miles of M50 and 11 and 59 and 13, and then what's after that?
well, the other ones that we have in the program, we had D15 west of Shaler and D15 west of Neemhaw are both in there ahead of this STP project, or ahead of this D59 project.
In between.
But they're short enough projects that they wouldn't use the $1 million, and so I was trying to look for a bigger project that would easily allocate that kind of funds. And I don't know what other counties are interested in, what projects for what years. There's several of us that have got about the same balance. So which counties are going to get which projects? We might end up not getting this for 13, it might be 14 before we get it in the program. But the other thing, we haven't got our bridge inspection report yet on bridges that were inspected this year, but there's a couple of bridges there west of Wall Lake that we need to, they're going to need some repair or replacement, and we'd probably try to look and see if we can't get that done before we get the overlay. Hopefully. I know the one bridge I think is BR Elton, but I don't think the other one was.
Speaking of bridges, did you get an arrangement on that one up north? Yeah, the land.
No, he called me one day and I told him, it had been in the farm manager's hands that he was going to talk to, and I think he was going to call the farm manager and see whether he'd had any conversation, and probably wouldn't hurt if I'd call Kent back and visit with him, see whether he's had a chance to contact that farm manager and if he's gotten any comments from them. Because the consensus was, at least when we talked to him on the phone that day, was there was interest in us vacating the road, and
I just wondered if you had heard from
anybody. He called me here, probably been a month and a half ago, and I told him I hadn't heard from the farm manager either. I think he was going to contact him to see if there was any concern about vacating it.
any other.
Anyway, I need that resolution.
Oh, we need the resolution. No,
Oh,
we got it.
just still reading it.
We'll make a motion, we adopt this resolution endorsing the D59 resurfacing project.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the resolution endorsing the D59 STP resurfacing application. All those in favor say aye.
We have to do
By roll call.
Dennis, say aye.
Hecht, aye.
stock aye.
One thing, when you start looking at, M50 doesn't qualify because it's not a major collector. We've actually got some major collectors on the federal platform.